Hi everyone, I just want to give you an overview of the polyatomic ion sheet, also known as the pink sheet, if you are gone or you need a refresher. So these are very, very important parts of chemistry when we start talking about chemical formulas and their names. It's so important that I'm going to ask you to do something that I don't ask you to do very much, and that's memorize some of them. The reason I need you to memorize some of them is you have to be able to recognize them when you see them in a name or a formula. You will usually have this pink sheet in front of you. It will actually be pink when you get your copy or if you have yours already. But if you can't recognize NH4 in a formula and you don't know that it's already a polyatomic ion, naming is going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible. So you have to at the very least be able to say oh, NH4 is a polyatomic ion. I think I know its name, and then you could go to your pink sheet to be like, oh, it's called ammonia. So the ones I'm going to ask you to memorize are the ones that have this little asterisk or star. There are 18 of them. There's one positive, cations are positive, and there's 17 negative anions. They all have a charge. Remember, ions are atoms, or in this case, many atoms, groups of atoms with a charge. Polyatomic, poly means many, like a polygon. So many atoms, ions means with a charge. So notice every single one has a charge. +1, the rest of these are either -1, -2, or there's 1, -3, here it is. So the starred ones are the ones you need to memorize. The other ones are ones that will come up, and you could look at your pink sheet, but you don't have to have them memorized. Because if you know chromate right here is CrO4 with a -2 charge, and you see this Cr2O7, you're going to think, that's similar to chromate, and then you're going to go, oh, it's dichromate. But you don't have to have this one memorized. Okay, so I would, if I were you, I would take a highlighter, okay, and I would highlight all of these starred ones, so you know exactly which ones you need to know. Now, I've also made a Quizlet with these on it, so you'll see that linked in Schoology. The sooner you start, the better. You're going to want to have more time than less with these. I know you all think cramming is going to work and you're going to remember it if you just study for 2 hours the night before. I'm telling you, it rarely works. Okay, spending more time, smaller chunks, 5 minutes a day or so, but multiple times will really get you to where you need to be. So to ensure that you will learn these, couple things to point out. We're going to take a quiz. So if I don't throw this quiz in here, I'm sorry to tell you, you can tell me you're going to study all over the place, but I know you won't if I don't have something at the end for you to show me. So the first quiz will be taken in class. I will have that on the board in class what that day is. So on the quiz, you're going to be given a name. Like it might say ammonium. If I say the name, you write the formula. So NH4 +1. Notice I have the N, the H, there's 4 H's, and the charge. You need all of that. If you just write NH4, it's wrong. If you write NH +1, it's wrong. It's the whole thing exactly like that. If I write the formula like CO3 -2, you write the name, carbonate, and yes, spelling matters, okay? I may make exceptions here and there, but you'll notice when I go through them in a minute that some of them are very, very similar, like 1 letter difference. So spelling does matter, it's important. So on this quiz, your quiz will have 15 on it. So remember I said there are 18, so I will take 15 of them and put on the quiz. Which 15? I'm not telling you. So it's a pass-fail quiz. So you have to get 10 to pass. 10 out of 15 correct makes you a pass. When you get 10 out of 15, it's going to go in as 15 out of 15 in the gradebook because you passed. If you don't get 10 out of 15, so you get less, it's going to go in as a 0. That sounds terrible, but look at number 3. The quiz can be retaken, maybe retaken, must be retaken. I should edit that. They're different versions, so it's not going to be the same exact 15, right? I'm going to shuffle a few in, a few out. But you can take it once a day. Retake it, I should say. So let's say we take our first one on a Thursday. You could try again on Friday. You could try again on Monday, the following Monday. You can try once a day. You can do it during class. I'll kind of announce at the end of class, okay, if you want to retake, now's the time, or actually maybe at the beginning, we'll see. I'll announce it. For all the retakes, they all look like this right here, where it's going to be 15 names, and you write the 15 formulas. The first one has a combination of them, okay? The last day to take the quiz will be the day before the test, which, again, I will point out in class. If you pass, I should say when you pass, because you're all going to pass, regardless of how many retakes you need, you are going to get 15 out of 15. It's not going to say that you took it 10 times or 8 times or 2 times. It's not going to say. It's just going to say 15 out of 15. But then you'll get a copy of the pink sheet on the test. You want this on the test. You need it on the test. Some students say, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. If I memorize it, I get it on the test? Well, yeah, you get it as like a safety net. You're like, okay, I know what cyanide is, I think, but I'm just going to check on the test, and you've got it right here. Oh, it's CN -1. All right, little bonus right here. If you pass on the first try, you don't wait, you're not blowing it off. You're going to do your best the first time to see if you can pass. You not only don't have to retake it ever, but you get 3 extra credit points. All right, so let me know if you have questions on kind of the quiz rules. All right, so let me point out a few things, and in class we'll be talking about how to study them multiple ways. So like I said, there's a Quizlet. There are the flashcards in there. They will pronounce them if you need them said and you want to know how to say them. There's different games and things. I would do all of them, practice different ways, multiple times, like I said, in small chunks. I have them grouped. So the first way I group them is cations on the left, anions on the right. So the cations are the only positive. There's only one. Now there's a whole bunch of anions. Okay, so most of them are negative. All right, now look how I have them grouped on the negative side. This first group of 4, these all have chlorine in them. And you only have to memorize the 2 in the middle. They both have chlorine, they both have oxygen, and they're both -1. Okay, so here's how I can remember they're -1. Chlorines, on the periodic table, chlorine's a halogen. Chlorine's charge by itself is -1. So that's one way to remember it. Now, look at the names. I've got chlorite, I-T-E, and chlorate, A-T-E. So 1 letter difference. Look at the 8. 1 chlorine, 3 oxygens, -1. The ite, 1 chlorine, 2 oxygens, -1. 8 just has 1 less oxygen. Nothing else changes. Let's look down here. Bromate and bromite. Look at those. Bromate, 8, BrO3 -1. Bromite, 1 less oxygen. Same thing. That's how they work. Ites are always 1 less oxygen. So really, could you not even memorize the ites? Yup. If you know what bromate is, BrO3 -1 right here, and I say, what's bromite? Oh, you just drop an O. So it's BrO2 -1. Everything else is the same. Okay, and bromine, like chlorine, is a halogen, -1 charge. Okay, nitrate, nitrite, same rules apply. 8, NO3, ite, NO2, you lose 1. Sulfate, sulfite, now sulfate is SO4, so it's 4 oxygens, but ite, it's just 1 less, SO3, okay, with a -2 charge, just like sulfur. Sulfur has a -2 charge, okay. Carbonate, CO3 -2, so here's carbon and oxygen. Look at the one below it, bicarbonate, and I wrote a little note on the bottom here. Bi can be replaced by hydrogen because that's what it means in this form. It means hydrogen carbonate. Look what happens when I add a positive hydrogen, +1. Look what happens to the charge. I add 1 to -2, it goes up to -1. So my charge just went up and I added an H. Okay. Phosphate is the only -3. Okay. Permanganate's kind of a weird little one. Oxalate's kind of a weird one. So kind of like notice their differences, notice their similarities. Hydroxide, cyanide, these are the only 2 that don't have any subscripts. So the numbers below, just OH, 1 of each, CN, 1 of each. Okay. Acetate's this long one, and it can be written a different way. Acetate could also be, let's see, it could be C2, H3O2. So if I simplify it, right, and you could write this on your sheet, you could also write it this way because it really just has 2 carbons and 2 oxygens. They're sometimes written in this first way because that's what it looks like if I built it. with the model kit. That's what it would look like. Get that charge in there. But this is maybe a shorter way to write it. Okay, so you could also write it that way, or you might see it that way. All right, so that's kind of an overview of all of them. I would start by writing them multiple times. I would go through and write this list at least 3 times. Better yet, do it 5. Okay, you can group them this way, or I would also start to group them by charge, all of the -1s. You'll see there's quite a few. All of the -2s, there aren't very many. All of the -3s, there's only 1. And all of the +1s, there's only 1. Group them by charge, group them by elements that are in them. Notice most of them have oxygen. Almost all of them have oxygen except 2. Cyanide doesn't, and ammonium doesn't. Everything else has oxygen. So start to notice those things. Okay, practice little bits at a time. So start this as soon as you can. Let me know if you have questions and get going.